With the heater summer coming around, a lot of us have to contend with dry or dusty riding areas. And one of the trickiest things to navigate is cornering on those slippery, often hard like concrete areas. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Mitch. Thanks for checking out another video. We're back at the track today. My favorite place to absolutely be, without a doubt. Now, I get what this is like. I've ridden at a lot of slippery tracks. I generally ride at them a lot of the time, so I totally get where you're coming from and that's something that you really kind of struggle with. Now, that being said, I figured out a couple of things that I think are probably going to help you quite a bit when it comes to getting around that slippery track or a slippery section of the track when it dries out or something like that. So let's hit it. So tip number one is going to be just looking for that Kush. And what do I mean by Kush? Kush is that soft, fluffy stuff that you see on the track. So if it's really hard packed, it's like pavement, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what we're talking about, is when it's really, really hard packed. The Kush is on the outer edges of the track, or if it's in a corner, it's kind of that back bank on the corner, if that makes sense. It's that lighter dirt that you can kind of dig your hand into, or better yet, the tires on your bike have the ability to dig into. So tip number one is you want to look for that Kush. That's really going to give you a lot of traction, especially in the corners. So instead of riding around that really hard packed surface on the corner where you got to kind of tippy toe around it, if you can find an outside line that has that Kush and you can lay into it and hold on the gas a little bit more than you could if you had to tippy toe around an inside line or something like that, that's going to help you huge. So look for that soft, fluffy dirt that you can get the tires to dig into a little bit and give you a little more traction. That's a big one. Tip two, throttle control. Now I know this seems like an obvious one, right? But it's really, really critical. It's really crucial when you're talking about throttle control on hard packed tracks. It goes without saying that if you're trying to corner and you just give it just a little too much gas, your back tire is going to spin too much and you might spin around or you might slide out or something, right? Something bad's probably going to happen. So throttle control is a really, really big thing when you're talking about hard packed surfaces. So just learn to just kind of slowly roll on the gas, especially when you're exiting a corner, again, that's really hard packed and flat and dry. You really just want to slowly roll the gas on. As the bike gets that, you get your weight to the back of the bike and the bike starts to get a little bit of a bite, that rear tire gets some bite, and then you can slowly roll the gas on and accelerate off. Because if you hammer the gas, the bike's just going to slip out from under you and you're going to be a lot worse off. So just practice that throttle control. Tip number three, look for a small rutted line. So I mean, even a lot of these hard packed tracks that don't seem to have any ruts in them, right? I mean, there's no obvious deep foot peg dragging ruts in them. That's totally fine, because a lot of the time you'll be able to find a spot on the track that has a small rutted line in it. So, and again, I'm kind of talking about more corners here. If you can find one of those small rutted lines in a corner, again, something just for your tires to bite into while you make that corner, that's going to help you big time getting around those slippery corners. So just like the Kush, it gives the tires something to bite into. If there's a small rutted line, that's going to be huge for you as well. It doesn't have to be a deep rutted line. It doesn't have to be a big rutted line. Just something small, and even just to get those tires to start to pivot is going to help you big time. So it doesn't have to be a 30-foot rut in a corner. It just has to be something that those tires can set into and begin that corner. It's going to be money. It's going to be money. Okay, the next tip is focusing your weight on the outside of the pegs. Again, I'm kind of talking about corners, because look, everybody can go fast in a straight line on a hard packed track. There's really nothing to it, right? As a matter of fact, it's easier than on a soft track that's got some tilled up stuff or ruts or whatever. If it's just flat, hard packed surface, everyone can go fast if they go straight. So I'm kind of talking about the corners more here. And in particular, when you're going through a corner and there's no Kush, tip number one, and there's no small rutted line that I just mentioned that you can kind of get that bite into, you're going to want to make sure that you have your weight on the proper part of the bike. None of those exist if you have no Kush, if you have no small rutted line, something like that, and it's like just a big, long, dry corner, and those exist out there. What's the best way to get through that? Because if you go around, say, the middle, and there's no Kush on the outside, and there's no small rutted line anywhere, you're really just gonna have to tippy-toe around it, right? But maybe the inside line on that track really is the best option. Maybe there's no Kush, maybe there's no small rutted line, but you can make that the shortest line possible on the track. So instead of taking the long way around tiptoeing, try and make it the shortest way possible. You may save 30, 40, 50 feet in a corner if you take that inside line. Yeah, you gotta tiptoe around it, but you're also cutting off more feet that you have to travel, which leads to better lap times.
So there you go. If you follow those 5 tips, you're very likely to ride a little faster on those hard-packed, tough corners. And let's face it, even if you don't ride much faster, you're probably gonna feel like you're riding faster. And you know what they say, feel good, ride good. Hit subscribe for me, and we'll see you in the next video.